Audio on. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
I don't know if the sound effect played as it was supposed to, but here we are anyway. It's a little bit scuffed, but that's all right. Hello, Matt. I see you joining you on your trip to the grocery store. Happy Sunday, everybody. Today, I will be hosting with the wonderful Mixien, Michelle, to talk about the news of the week and whatever other Asterian things that are new this week. But how you doing, Michelle?
Dude, I am vibing today. How are you?
Good. I'm doing all right. I think it's funny. I love your Asterian shrine back there, and I've got like nothing back here except Donkey Kong over here
You know,
poking
I
through.
like that a lot, though. It's like he's just watching over you.
Yeah, and then it's just a blank wall behind me.
Oh, I didn't turn up. Billy, what color should my dice lamp be? I didn't
Purple.
turn up. Okay. There.
Oh,
It's
that's
purple for you.
that's pretty badass.
Isn't it sick? Yeah.
Big fan. Um, but yeah, it's been kind of an interesting week in the world of gaming. There hasn't been a ton of stuff, but been a couple of pretty significant smaller things, kind of starting, if you will. But let's start with the big one, and I'm gonna plug the article I just wrote. So as of tomorrow, the Wii U and 3DS online services will be no more. After let's see, I think the Wii U came out in 2013. 3DS was
Dang.
also 2013, I believe. I think they launched around the same time. And so all of those online services will be dead. I believe Street Pass also dies as a result.
Boo. Bring
So
back Street Pass.
Street Pass was so awesome. Also, Matt wants to know if you want the really big container of goldfish.
Yeah. Yeah, I want the really big milk carton. Thank you, Matt.
But yeah. So yeah, Wii U, 3DS online services will go down. Street Pass will be no more, which is a bummer. One of the things that there's been a big resurgence in Street Pass this year, thanks to Xeon from Nintendo Life, kind of making this big push for everybody to start taking their 3DSs back out everywhere. And so that's been really cool to see, and then it's just gonna be gone. I don't even know if Pretendo has Street Pass back up and running.
So, not to speculate,
Mm-hmm.
but since we're talking about the death of two great consoles,
Yeah,
I dare not say anything else about the Wii U in front of you. But since we're seeing the death of them, and I feel like it's highly speculated that we're at the end of the Switch's life cycle.
Mm-hmm.
What would be, because you are the Nintendo guy, TM, what would be like your dream for like the next Nintendo console? Because mine is just bring back Street Pass, baby.
Yeah,
Like bring that shit back.
yeah. I mean, really, like as far as a new console goes, I just kind of want a better Switch. Like I really don't need that much more. I think Street Pass would be awesome. Encourage people to take their Switches, out and about and get that connectivity going again. I just want a Switch with better hardware, if I'm being honest.
Do you have an? I know it's not quite different, but do you have an OLED Switch?
No, I decided it wasn't like different enough
Yeah,
to
that's
warrant buying another one. But my mom did buy an OLED because she just randomly decided she wanted to switch
Yeah.
at some point. And so she has the OLED, and I will say the screen is vastly different. It's gorgeous. It's amazing how much the better screen improves the quality of picture on the Switch.
Mhm.
And with what we've seen rumored about the next Switch console is true, it's gonna be pretty awesome. The rumors are showing that they're gonna run a program called DLSS, which is essentially AI upscaling, but in like a less blurry, gross sort of way. It's not like the Tomb Raider AI upscaling. It's a lot more sophisticated than that, from what I understand. And there's like this Matrix tech demo that they put on the PS4 in the the rumors are that the new Switch 2 dev kits can run it. So essentially, if the rumors are true, we are looking at a handheld console that can run mid to high end PS4 games. Which, like,
Cool.
for Nintendo, I don't think they need much more than that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the fact that the Nintendo can squeeze a game like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom on the Switch at all.
Oh yeah.
Essentially, it would just have that game running at 60 frames per second, which is all anybody wanted out of Nintendo.
Yo, Baldur's Gate 3 on the Switch when?
Oh my god, could you imagine? So, but yeah, I think that's really all I would want is just a better powered Switch and less drip feeding of the Switch Online benefits. They are so slow to drop retro games on the Virtual Console, and I think a more steady stream of those games coming out would be really nice.
Sure.
So, and of course, better online netcode.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Fix those things, and I would be perfectly content. So, cross-platform play first in Baldur's Gate 3, fair. Also, hi Skylian, welcome.
Yo, hey.
But yeah, I as someone who does not care about spec saving 2024, the promise of an even better Switch that makes competition sounds like icing on the cake. Yeah, I think it's a thing. Nintendo fans are so easy to please, yet it's really difficult to get what we're really after.
Yeah.
We are so easy to please. Like, I don't need... Like, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth looks phenomenal, and I think that game should be praised for how good it looks and how a lot of PS5 games are looking right now, but I certainly do not need that in my silly little Mario games.
Valid.
So, I don't know. And when we had rumors for a while it was supposed to come this year, but it's seeming more and more likely that it's been delayed by something. So, don't know. Give me a Zelda and some Pokemon and 3D Mario, and I'm pretty happy. Yeah, like, we don't need much. I'd like our Pokemon games to run a little bit better, but that's about it.
Valid.
It doesn't even have to look great. It just needs to run better. So, but yeah, I think the official time is like 11 p.m. tomorrow CST. I think is what I saw. Could be wrong on that.
For the death.
For the death of the Wii U and 3DS.
Damn.
But there, if you're fine with homebrew and hacking, there is already a solution to preserve a lot of online play through a program called Pretendo. And so they have a bunch of stuff back up and running. You can play Splatoon online. A lot of Mario Maker levels are being preserved, and you can upload new ones on the Pretendo server. So the fans have already done a pretty good job getting things set back up for when the shops do close, or when the services do go down. Which is pretty sweet. Every console does have to come to an end at some point. So it's nice that the fans have already picked up getting that stuff set back up. So, another cool thing with this is there is in other news, there was a group called Team 0%, I think is their name. And there are a bunch of Mario Maker players, like Mario, Kaizo, runners, and stuff. And they had a whole goal to beat every level in Mario Maker 1 before the servers close. Like, every single one.
God.
Their whole thing was that Team 0% was making sure that every single level had a clear, at least one clear, before the servers go down. And
oh my God.
Sometime last week, they had accomplished all but one level. And they found out that the one level they couldn't beat was beat via TAS. Somebody somehow set up a TAS bot to beat the level and upload it on Mario Maker servers before they stopped uploading, letting people upload. And just yesterday, a human being, beat the TAS level.
Oh my gosh.
So just like 2 days before the servers close, they have legitimately beaten every level in Mario Maker 1 before the servers close.
Dang.
Which is awesome. Just so good. First off, beating a level that was cleared via TAS is crazy enough. But to have a whole team dedicated to beating every level in Mario Maker 1 is insane. So that was really, really cool to kind of see as people send off the Wii U and 3DS. So, fun story about the 3DS before we kind of move on topics. I just want to say, Michelle, do you remember going to the launch release of Pokemon Sun and Moon back at college
gosh.
days? That would have been like our freshman year, I think it was.
Oh my gosh, I totally forgot about that.
And then we promptly played like a little bit and then just like didn't finish it. At least I didn't.
Oh my gosh, this is like all coming back to me. Yeah, because Sun and Moon, that was like the island one, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a
and it
Z
was-
moves.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, I remember this now. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a time in Pokemon
Yes.
history.
Yes. Matt says he downloaded Ultra Sun just yesterday. I still haven't beaten Sun and Moon, and I did not even bother with
Really?
Ultra. No, I was just like,
Valid.
I think I want to go back and give it another shot, but I think at the time I was just so uninterested with the constant hand holding and like just being like, you need to go over here now. Well, I don't want to. But I think I could like grit my teeth and bear through it just to beat it. But yeah, that's my goal is to play every Pokemon game. I have all of them now. Good. I mean, yeah, Ultra Sun and I've heard that the Ultra games are like way better. Still pretty handholdy and a lot of dialogue to mash through. But I've heard that they're better games. So,
I think I only played Moon. Never picked up the Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And all the Ultra Beasts were catchable through Sword and Shield, so I didn't really have a huge reason to go back and play and transfer them. So even for competitive, because they were all just right there. So.
To be quite honest, I have not played any of the recent Pokemon games, even though I know they are so good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, and I loved Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
Like, I really got so much playtime after that. But I think, after a while, I just got so tired of the formula, which sucks because I know Arceus was so different.
Yeah.
And I know the new ones were also, like, very different, but still, like, keeping the old Pokemon dialed to them. But, after, like, a decade of, like, the same formula, I think I was just done. Like, I couldn't even bring myself to play Arceus or anything.
I think it's totally understandable. I mean, I've gotten more time than I would have normally. I think getting into competitive Pokemon during Sword and Shield is, I mean, that's the only reason I pick up Scarlet and Violet anymore, is I get a team idea and I'll run it on Showdown, and then I'm like, all right, now let's put it on cart and see how high up the ladder I can get. That's where most of my playtime has gone, is the competitive scene. And really, if you look at it, the only people still playing the games now are shiny hunters, shiny content creators, and competitive players. Which is why I think they crank those games out so fast, because just to get to the next thing. But Legends was fun. I really liked Legends Arceus, and I liked doing Legends Arceus Bingo, like, as a personal thing. That was really, really fun to do for a while. And then getting those mons in competitive Scarlet and Violet has been really cool too. To see them try something new in one game and then try to make it mold into the competitive scene is really cool. But yeah, I don't fault anybody for not picking up the new Pokemon games. They have such a wide audience they have to cater to now. They have a 40, 50-year-old gap of audience members to cater to. And getting new fans is always going to take priority. So, but I think they're doing some good work with like the Legends formula. I think it's kind of the middle ground for people like us who have grown up with them their entire lives.
For sure.
So, we'll just kind of have to see. I'm hoping that they start to slow down a little bit, but they're the way they're speeding through the competitive scene does not seem to articulate that at all. But I don't know. I'd like to see something like with the Switch 2, if it's similar hardware but just better powered. If they can preserve some of their code in their engine to like lessen the workload, I think it would help them out quite a bit because every game up to this point has had a new engine entirely. You look at like even Gen 1 to Gen 2, you go from the standard Game Boy to the Game Boy Color. Gen 2 to Gen 3, Game Boy Color to Advance. Gen 3, Gen 4, Game Boy Advance to DS. They don't have a lot of time. The best games are the remakes that are in another engine. Fire Red, Leaf Green, Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Even Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire came out of X and Y graphics, so anytime they can preserve their engine, that next game tends to be pretty good. So I'm hoping, finally being on a home console that has some similarities, they might be able to help themselves out a little bit. So yeah, that's that. That's that. Let's see, what else happened this week? Oh, an interesting one. So Matt actually shared this with me a couple days ago. And so there has been a huge fight between Nintendo specifically and Emulation. That's been kind of fascinating to watch. Because now they kind of have a leg up thanks to Yuzu. So for those that aren't super familiar or don't remember, Yuzu was the company responsible for the 3DS and Switch emulators. And they recently got a cease and desist and now owe $2.4 million to Nintendo because they were locking games decryption keys behind a Patreon, which blatantly goes against the rules established through emulation. Emulations are legal. You just cannot profit off of somebody else's work. And the way Nintendo has gotten around emulation laws has been to have a specific cryptographic key that allows you to not just like emulate. You have to have these specific keys in order to emulate certain games. It's been fascinating to do my own like homebrew Wii U 3DS homebrew because sometimes you actually have to download a different game's ROM in order to inject a different game. So it's using a certain game's encryption key to override the encryption to be able to play it on your homebrew.
That's interesting.
It's really cool. It's fascinating. It's wild. But basically, Yuzu was selling these keys behind their Patreon, and I don't know if anybody remembers when Tears of the Kingdom was launching, people had the game and were playing it a week early.
Is this how it happened?
Yes. Somebody got a hold of the game and data mined the decryption keys or whatever, which obviously not all those people bought said game when they got a hold of them. And so Tears of the Kingdom, people were playing it early on Yuzu because the Switch has those blocks that won't let you play it if you've downloaded it early. It makes you wait until it releases the game. But people were playing it early on Yuzu, which cuts into profits because I guarantee you not all those people that pirated the game ended up buying Tears of the Kingdom because it ran at 60 FPS on their computer. So, so Nintendo eventually came through and basically, slapped them on the wrist and said, hey, please stop doing this and give us all of your stuff so you quit hacking our games. And also now you owe us $2.4 million.
LOL. So here's all that missing profit that we would have gotten.
But I forget who I was watching. It was probably Moon Channel. Basically, it comes out to the amount of Patreon supporters they were getting basically since the launch of Tears of the Kingdom. Was kind of how the math came out to be, because there was the Yuzu emulator actually logs data. It logs how many people are actually using the emulator to play specific games. So they were tracking all of that data. So they know exactly how many people were join their Patreon to play Tears of the Kingdom early.
That's awesome.
That's where they got that number. So 2.4 million they can handle as a company.
Sure.
But yeah, so anyway, with all of that, there has now been a huge kind of shift towards, okay, well, now that Nintendo has done that, where else can they target emulation and piracy? Because I don't think it's any secret that the big companies don't like piracy and emulation. Sony and Nintendo in particular. So, with all that said, Matt showed me an article the other day that Apple has announced that game emulators can come to the App Store globally and offer downloadable games.
Dang.
Which is crazy. It does say games must comply with all applicable laws, but I don't know how often they are going to be able to track and make sure I'm not downloading Pokemon Emerald on every Game Boy Advance emulator on the Apple App Store.
I'm going to pull a real boomer take. Back in my day, when I was in high school, I had to jailbreak my fucking iPhone just so I could play Pokemon on it, because I would get so freaking bored in geometry.
Yeah.
And I'd have so much time at the end of class, and I'd whip out my phone and play my games that way. So, kind of like a based Apple take, but also like, what meaning? Who was the guy in this executive meeting that was like, emulators?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like, who pitched that?
Especially,
how did he pitch it?
Especially right now. Like, it's incredibly fascinating that right now they are saying, yes, we are okay with this. Now, here's the thing that's even crazier, right? It doesn't take much to download a ROM, not from the App Store. Like, I can just download the emulator that's totally allowed on my phone and then access a certain site that downloads the ROM to my phone and makes the game run. And that's totally allowed for them to do. It's so fascinating that right now Apple has chosen to make this call. And I'm curious how long it will last.
Billy, I want to know, do you have an iPhone or do you have an Android?
I have an Android. I have a Google Pixel.
Okay. This is slightly unrelated.
Okay.
But I'm still coming in here. I'm coming in hot. I have always been an iPhone girly. Yes, I don't have a case. I'm handling this raw.
Hey, I don't either.
Please. Yeah, yes. And I've yet to crack it, so I'm good with it. I saw a Twitter thread the other day about how the new iPhones keep automatically editing your photos when you take them. Like using AI to like automatically detect like noise and like sharpening and stuff. So I saw this thread. And I noticed this when I first picked up my new phone back in like November, right? I have a 14 right now. And I kept taking like pictures with it, and I was like, why do they look like this? Like, why do they keep getting edited? I want to do the editing.
Right.
Let me do the editing. And it's so crazy to me that they allow emulators, yet Apple is like so historically known to be such hard asses about all of their software. Meanwhile, Androids have always had like all of this free. This camera thing is enough to finally make me switch.
Yeah.
I think the next phone I'm gonna get is a Google Pixel, because I am so sick of taking a picture and having it automatically be edited, and there's no setting to turn it off. Like, and it's not like you can download the raw files off an iPhone. Right. But if I plug my fucking Android into my computer, I guarantee I could go right into that bitch and take the raw files out.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Exactly. And that's the shit. Like, I feel like I used to be like a big jailbreak girly back in the day, and that's how you put on like whatever the hell you want. But now I'm to the point where it's like, I will just get a fucking Google Pixel.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's fascinating. Again, like essentially, Apple is saying like, if the emulator that you are downloading has access to downloadable games, and I think their whole idea is thinking like, if somebody makes their own Game Boy Advance game, right, and you can download it directly and play it on your phone, is what they are thinking is going to happen. Like, oh, some 15-year-old new developer created their own Game Boy Advance game, and you can download it through their emulator. But we all know that's not what's going to happen. People are going to host all of their freaking ROMs on these emulator shops. So here's what I predict will happen. They are going to get flooded with piracy, with pirated ROMs, and Apple is going to have to make a choice. Apple and Nintendo both are going to have to make a choice. Are they going to... Will Apple sit back and just stop doing what they're doing? Or will Apple fight on the side of emulation and piracy and preservation?
If they did that, that would maybe make me consider keeping my iPhone. That would be kind of fucking based.
Yeah,
in certain contexts, you know.
Right. I don't foresee Apple doing that unless they see enough dollar bills coming their way as a result. So I don't know. We're kind of in this interesting flux right now with emulation and not even piracy, but like preservation, like as a whole. This conversation is going from those of us who are gamers, like see video games as like an art form, as an art medium, and then we want to preserve games because they, just like art and music and books, like they deserve to be preserved because they are tons of people's livelihoods packed into these projects, even if they suck, right? Even if it's Jekyll and Hyde on the NES or E.T.
Exactly.
Like a ton of people worked on those games and they are art forms. But then we have all these big businesses that see them as commodities and entertainment exclusively. And so these two ideas are now kind of about to come head to head, and big companies are going to have to start making decisions. We already know where Sony and Nintendo lie, but we have other companies like Apple. Probably Microsoft at some point is going to have to step in and make a decision. And just these big companies are going to have to choose, and it's going to result in a lawsuit that is going to affect emulation in some way.
It's also interesting how indicative this choice is of how profitable the gaming industry has become. And now, like, these big conglomerates, not to say they didn't know it before, but they certainly, like, didn't recognize just how big it really is until, like, things like, all the YouTube gaming channels blew up and all the Twitch gaming channels blew up and, all of these other things. So I really think this is, like, a move on Apple to make their phone kind of like its own console.
Yeah.
But, I just want to know who explained this.
Yes.
Like,
to some exec.
Did the room of boomers quite understand what they were, what the person, like that, what if the person that presented this to the room full of Apple execs was actually just like a spy?
Yeah.
Like he was actually like, I'm gonna get emulators on the fucking Apple, I'm gonna fake my badge, I'm gonna get in there, and I'm gonna get this, I'm gonna get fucking Pokemon Yellow on my goddamn phone.
Yeah.
Goddamn.
Yeah. I don't know. It's incredibly fascinating. And it's gonna be an interesting conversation to watch unfold. Because there's a lot of people that saw the Yuzu thing, and people are upset at Nintendo for taking down Yuzu, which I think Yuzu had it coming. Straight up, Yuzu had it coming.
Yeah, that's pretty F.
The sad part is losing Citra, which was the 3DS emulator, especially in the wake of stuff going down tomorrow. The eShop's been closed for a little over a year now. But losing Citra means we can't like play online 3DS games through our PC. Now there's still ways to hack your 3DS to be able to do stuff like that, again through Pretendo. But this emulation conversation, it's going to come to a head here pretty soon. I would give, within a year or two, I could see it, depending on kind of what happens. And there's a bunch of people that are taking the old Yuzu uh, uh, files, if you will, and making their own. There's one that's already been taken down. It was Suyu, Suyu, and apparently it was just a bunch of teenagers that took the old code, did nothing with it, and re-put it back up the same way Yuzu had it. And Nintendo shut them down real fast.
You know what? It's kind of funny that they named it Suyu.
Yes.
Because, like, they already got sued once. And you're just like...
Yeah.
You're just gonna get sued again.
Yeah, it's crazy. So there's other Switch emulators and stuff out there. So long as, emulation groups are just gonna have to learn to stay under the radar and not try to make a huge profit off of something that's not theirs.
Yeah.
It's just interesting to kind of watch.
For sure.
Talking to some people in chat. Hello, Nolan and Jacob. All modern art should be preserved in hell. Yeah. Thank you guys for stopping in. We kind of been rambling about emulation for a little while because of this Apple thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's important. There's a whole lot of stuff to preserve, and there's a whole lot of games. There's a lot of games that were made specifically for the Wii U and 3DS eShops that are just gone.
Yeah. Like, we live in an era where Netflix could literally just say no more and shut down, and we would not be able to access like so many movies.
Oh yeah.
Or like all of these digital files could just be like gone.
Yeah.
So at that point, it's like the choice is emulators, or you offer a digital product, or not digital. Sorry, the physical box product that somebody can actually own and hold.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good segue into something else we have in our Discord to talk about. But I will mention before we get to that, one of the things that, I am a big physical games collector. I love going out retro game hunting every so often. I own every Dragon Quest game, every mainline Dragon Quest game physically, except for 10 because it's the MMO. But like, I think I have 3 copies of Dragon Quest 1 over here. Some of those games you just can't get, like the DS versions of Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6. That cost me quite a bit of money to get because they're not selling them anymore. They were made in low demand here in the States. It's just not, it's hard to get. And so it was either like Dragon Quest 5. I bought it physically, just the cartridge cost me $150. I bought it, I own it, but like that's a hard ask for anyone else.
Before we get to this next topic, can I tell you my deepest regret?
Sure.
I have, like, I don't have the early Game Boy Pokemon games, but I have all of my cartridges since the original Diamond and Pearl.
Yeah.
And I've kept them all, but you know what I fucking did? I fucking kept the cartridges and threw away the package.
Okay. Yes.
And I have so many regrets about that because me as like a 19-year-old, I was like, I don't want to have these all the time. I'll just put the cartridges in a case. And now as an adult, I'm like, I wish I still had this packaging. Like, I wish I could go back and experience what it was like to open it up, to read like the inserts, to like just see how it felt when I fucking bought this game as a teenager again.
Well, and you know what's crazy? If you ever want to feel really bad about it, go online and see how much those cases and manuals sell for.
Yep. Fucking yes.
So when I was in 5th grade, we moved homes in our town. And so when we were packing everything up and throwing things away, as you're one to do when you move, I remember my mom saying that we should throw away all these old boxes because we had the boxes, we kept them. Because you never know if you need to return something or whatever. And they were like, well, you're never like using these. And so we threw away all of our Game Boy Advance cases. So I like had an original Ruby box, a Sapphire box, an Emerald box, all of the Fire Red Leaf Green. We had all those boxes. And sure enough, we threw them all away. And I remember calling my mom about a year or two ago and being like, "Hey, if you ever want to feel sad, go on eBay and see how much those boxes are worth."
Yeah.
Because I mean,
I felt real
yeah,
sad.
yeah. Because
Like, not that I would sell them,
right,
but like, it's just like as a collector, like to have those,
like
Oh, he's going. He's
so,
grabbing.
it's just like this. I bought this like last year.
Yeah.
I just went through my collection, and this case has everything. It's got the case. It's got the games currently in my PlayStation 2. But it's like got the Final Fantasy 12 demo disc, and it's got the manual. And I will tell you what, I felt like such a kid again when I like got home and like looked through the manual of this game.
Oh my gosh, because like we kind of were in that same age where like we didn't have like, not to be a boomer again, but we didn't have like tablets and like iPods and like at our disposal. Like half the time you're in the fucking car reading the back of the shampoo bottle on the way back from fucking Walmart. So like to have the insert, like what I would give to just read the insert or like see if it came with like an extra code or like something like that. Like it makes me really kick myself. Like I'm glad I kept all the cartridges over the years in my 3DS. But makes me real sad.
Something else to mention for any other collectors that are out there. If you are buying NES, SNES, and even to an extent N64 games, and you are stuck in a game, look up the manual. I guarantee you the manual has a map or a description of the items. Sometimes the whole ass walkthrough is like in the manual to tell you where to go and what to do.
Look up a fucking manual for Resident Evil 0. Because I swear to God, I'm such a dumb fucking bitch. I just keep... Okay, here's the thing, though. Here's my fucking problem with Resident Evil 0. I keep walking up to a fucking door, and I'm like, alright, time to turn the doorknob, and I'm like, trying to turn the doorknob, and the game's like, you can't do that right now. And I'm like, what do you mean? It's a fucking... Let me use the doorknob, and it's like, no, you can't. So then I walk around the rest of the fucking map, and I'm like, where do I go next? I swear to God, I'm supposed to use this fucking door, and then I walk up an inch closer to it and try the doorknob again. It's like, you open the door. And I was like, thanks, Capcom. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Anyways, there's a different rant.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with using a walkthrough.
Thank you.
Even retro games, like some of these Dragon Quest games, like the last one I played was Dragon Quest 6. And it's so esoteric and weird and whatever. And I'm like, I'm looking up a guide. They were too busy making Chrono Trigger to make this game make sense. So I used a guide straight up.
I've got a rant for you on the same like tangent. The people that complain about putting like the kind of like bright yellow path thing in areas so you kind of know where you're supposed to go.
Oh yeah,
but it's not like
yellow paint discourse.
Noticeable. Yes. I need that. I don't think I'm stupid by any means. But when I'm wandering a fucking mansion and RE0 for hours and I can't find the fucking white wings of this statue, like I want a little path to show up. Like I want a little hint. I don't want people to come to my chat and backseat me. I want a little hint in the game. I want a sweet little treat. I want a little bit of serotonin, Capcom.
Well, and like, those older games they just don't care about your feelings, and that's just how they were built.
Exactly.
But like newer games just look so good, and you never know what you actually can interact with. That some of the yellow paint is kind of nice.
Yeah, for sure. Like if there was a setting, all I have to do is have a setting that says turn yellow paint off.
Yeah.
Turn it on.
Well, did you ever play Mirror's Edge on the Xbox 360? So that game
I know what you're talking about.
The game's badass. First off, it's just like a parkour like movement game, and so you have what's called runner vision, and it highlights things that you can interact with, and it has an arrow depending on the difficulty you're on. So it'll give you certain bits of information depending on which difficulty you're on. So like super easy or whatever shows you everything you can interact with and an arrow with your most direct path. And then whereas the hardest difficulty says you're on your own, like we will not tell you what you can interact with. We will not tell you, like you just have to use your game knowledge to get you through. But that's like that kind of thing where like there are options for how much information you want in your game. But circling back a little bit, we were talking about like games preservation and this whole idea of like games being killed off. And so Nolan shared this in the Discord, stopkillinggames.com. I
Look at this
wish I could remember the content creator that's like heading this up. But basically, the idea is that there is an opportunity from a consumer to basically put up a lawsuit against Ubisoft for the video game The Crew. Let's see. Action on The Crew. I'm just going to read directly from the site. The video game The Crew, published by Ubisoft, was recently destroyed for all players and had a player base of at least 12 million people.
Gosh.
Right. Due to the game's size and France's strong consumer protection laws, this represents one of the best opportunities to hold a publisher accountable for this action. If we are successful in charges being pressed against Ubisoft, this can have a ripple effect on the video games industry to prevent publishers from destroying more games. Which is like fascinating. Like, what compels a company to shut down an active online game with 12 million players on it?
Insane.
Like, I don't know. Like, that's so weird to me. Like, that should be like a money farm.
Yeah. You fucking put a goddamn Fortnite skin in that, you're making millions, dude.
Yeah, right? So, and I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about this. It's something that I'm kind of following, but it's fascinating. And once again, we have basically the other side of the preservation coin, right? Of like,
Yeah.
we have this online game that had 12 million players, and Ubisoft said, "No, we're just done. So we're just going to kill it and make it unplayable." So I'm kind of looking through their FAQ. It says, "Aren't you asking companies to support games forever? Isn't that unrealistic?" And I like this response a lot. No, we are not asking that at all. We are in favor of publishers ending support for a game whenever they choose. What we are asking for is that they implement an end-of-life plan to modify or patch the game so that it can run on customer systems with no further support from the company being necessary. And so they're basically mentioning that there's a lot of stuff out there that just doesn't have, we're not asking Blizzard to keep World of Warcraft running till the end of time. But at the end of its life, there should be some method for players to still log in and play and just run around.
Yeah, for sure.
Or, allow source code to go somewhere else to do stuff.
Exactly. You know what? When I was a fucking kid, Disney, and Virtual Magic Kingdom shut down.
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't like do anything.
Yeah.
You couldn't even run around it. The people that then made like the dupe where you could run around it, or like same thing with Club Penguin.
Yeah.
When that shut down and people like brought it upon themselves to like preserve it so you could at least like walk around and see what it was like to play the game.
Yeah.
That was peak.
Yeah. I think there's enough of that going on, but I think what this group is distinctly looking at is like all of these games that are only existing for like a year, right? And then just get shut down with no repercussion whatsoever. I think about Multiverses. Now that game is coming back, but like a bunch of people spent money on founders passes to like support the game, and then they shut down for like 2 years or whatever. And they're just now coming back out of like radio silence. So like if the game hadn't come back, that would have just been it. I think about the hundreds of like Square Enix projects that have lasted for like less than a year that just get shut down with nothing to do about it.
Sorry. We could say the same for like all the lost pilot seasons of whatever shows too. Like, what about that? I think it was the Batgirl CW show.
Oh yeah,
that had like finished production and it just got axed, and we will never see what could have been with that show. It's a CW show.
Yeah.
So presumably, kind of sketch. But at the same time, it's like you spend so much money on this project just to axe it, you're not even gonna release it.
Yep.
Hello.
It's right up there, like right with the that Wile E. Coyote versus Acme film that they full on finished and axed as a write-off. It's just it's weird. It's weird. I don't like it. I don't get it. So anyway, so just this stopkillinggames.com, it's just the website that's kind of talking about like what their goals are, and then what you do is you can click take action here on the site, and then you just click your country of residence, and then it will tell you what actions you can take in your country to help kind of get behind on the project, which is awesome. It's very easy to just like look and see what your options are right now. And it's got step-by-step practices, step-by-step ways on how you can help get involved in this and kind of be a part of it, which is really, really cool. So there's a lot of stuff going on in preservation and emulation and preservation that I think is really cool. But it's kind of it's a difficult fight. So I'll be interested to see how this one kind of works out. And yes, I do have Donkey Kong right here. He is hanging out.
He's chilling.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that's kind of all I've got for this week. There's a lot. Again, it's a lot of, we have a service going down. We talked about another group trying to like hold Ubisoft accountable for just randomly shutting it down a game with no end of life plan. And then we have Apple kind of entering the emulation scene. All different facets of preservation and all in emulation. It's really fascinating to see. So, but yeah, tomorrow evening we say goodbye to the Wii U 3DS officially on their online stuff. I will be the Wii U's sole defender. Between me and Scott the Woz, we can hold things down.
You know what? I support you, Billy.
Yeah. But maybe we'll do a whole thing with Pretendo one of these days and mess around on there with original Splatoon and Mario Maker.
That's such a good name.
Pretendo's great. It's a great thing.
I've heard you talk about it before, but I haven't actually checked it out. I'm probably gonna need to.
Yeah, I still need to do get it up and running on mine. I think Matt has it running on his stuff. If he's still
Matt,
in chat,
drop the Pretendo demo for the class.
Believe in the Billy who believes in Wii U. And listen, I believe in the Wii U really hard.
Yo, everyone needs someone that loves them like how Billy loves Wii U. That's a goal.
Awesome. And I will also mention, it is still incredibly easy to jailbreak your Wii U and 3DS. It is not a meme. It's real. It's so easy.
Real.
It's so easy.
Can I run Baldur's Gate 3 on my 3DS?
No, I think it would actually cause the 3DS to explode.
Could I run Baldur's Gate 1?
Probably.
That would be so funny.
I feel like Baldur's Gate 1 would have the same capacity as Doom. Like, it just runs on everything.
Anyway, when we talked about me playing that, I played it for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot how difficult those like early RPGs are. I just kept dying, and I was like, you know what? I will go. If I could do honor mode and Baldur's Gate 3, I will stick to that. I will not do Baldur's Gate 1.
Here's the thing about Baldur's Gate 1. I'm pretty sure that game runs on 2nd edition D&D, which is ass.
You know what? Yeah, that's a good point, because one of my coworkers was trying to explain to me. So the armor class is basically opposite.
Yes.
So be careful. And I was like, what? How the fuck does that make sense?
Yeah. One of my like favorite retroactive memories is playing the original Neverwinter Nights, which used 2nd edition as well. Neverwinter Nights Diamond upgraded to 3.5. But the original used the 2nd edition. And I remember I had no idea how to play D&D. I was just a dumb kid. I had liked playing Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, which was like a hack and slash game. So you don't have to follow the rules. And so I remember playing Neverwinter Nights, and the tutorial zone gives you a piece of equipment you can't use to teach you that you can't use it. So I would have this wizard, and then I would go to some box and there'd be a plate, a section of plate armor. And it's sweet, plate armor. I know that that's good because you can buy it in Dark Alliance. So I put it on, and I saw that my armor class is 30. And I'm like, that's really good. Everything hits you. Everything hits you.
Yeah. Boof.
Yeah. Or like I'm like, why doesn't the bastard sword with like a plus whatever to hit not hit anything? Why am I hitting only with the quarterstaff? And it's just little
It
quirks.
doesn't make sense.
No.
Like from even if you had no experience with D&D, it just doesn't make sense because you would see armor class equals 30. Wow, 30 is kind of a high number. That must be
Yeah.
really good. No.
No. And I'm sure the game taught me, and I was too dumb to read all the dialogue. I guarantee it.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I just wanted to
Same.
click things. It was like playing Morrowind as a kid. It was a mess, let me tell you. But yeah, I think that's all we've got for this week. Again, emulation, piracy, all that preservation, all of those conversations are kind of what's continuing to happen throughout. So it's really important that you keep an eye on these conversations. If you have feelings one way or the other, that dialogue is shifting, and it's going to be there's a lot of stuff that's about to happen. I feel like it's like an emulation Cold War. And Nintendo is waiting for the moment to shut down emulators as we know them. So it's important that we, as groups of emulation enthusiasts, that we do what we can to make sure that we stay under the purview of the 90s lawsuit before legal precedent gets to change.
For sure.
But that's going to be that. Shameless plug again. On our WordPress, I have an article about the Wii U. In light of its shutdown tomorrow, we also have a couple other articles. One about Mother 3, one about Persona 3, and then Sterling wrote one about video game documentaries. It would really mean a lot if you would go check those out. And make sure that you follow the channel and all that good stuff so that whenever we do the weekly news show every Sunday at 1 p.m. CST. So make sure you tune in every week to see what else is new. And with that, we are going to hop off, and we will see you all next time.